I am in support of cutting taxes even though I'm a Democrat. Why? Do you make millions of dollars a year? Are you a corporation? I own stocks too. Oh my God.
Thank you very much. This is an honor, a tremendous honor. I brought some of our compatriots along with us. They're going to do a beautiful job for you for the next 4 years. And it's really been something very special. And I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time. I think I like it better this time, actually. But we did a good job. We had a great first term, despite a lot of turmoil caused unnecessarily. But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that. But I do want to thank Time Magazine. I've been on the cover many times. I don't know who has the record, but I can only probably talk well about 25%.
Hitler. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. How many times did Times Magazine choose Hitler as the man of the year? They have chosen Stalin a bunch of times as well, so maybe it's Stalin. RFK Jr. looks like a processed corpse because he is having the greatest food that you could possibly consume. FDR has 3.
Percent of the covers. 25% are great. The others I just sort of hide. But it's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you. And thank you very much for doing it. And thank the whole group at Time. Really very professional people. Thank you very much. And to Jeff and all of the people from the New York Stock Exchange. He knows how much I like it because many years ago I bought a building across the street. I wasn't going to buy it. Then I said, you know, it's right next to the New York Stock Exchange. I'm going to buy it. We've had great success. 40 Wall Street, we've had tremendous success with it. But you've really had success with the New York Stock Exchange. It's an incredible group of people. And Jeff, you have done an incredible job, you and your group. And what a beautiful speech you made. Thank you very much. I was some introduction of all of us. But we've gone up since the election. I was just told by Scott, everybody said, you have to pick Scott Bessent. He has to be the one chosen for Treasury. Where is Scott? Let's see. He's around here someplace. He's around here. He told me we picked up $3 trillion since the election day. And I said, well, that's good, but what about before the election day? He said, we picked up some money there because they thought you were going to win. I said, I like this guy. He's going to be my Treasury Secretary. But it's true. I think we're going to have a tremendous run. We have to straighten out some problems, some big problems in the world. When we left, we didn't have any of these problems. We didn't have Russia with Ukraine. We didn't have Israel October 7th. We didn't have the Afghanistan disaster. We didn't have inflation. We had no inflation. And we had a very strong economy. And we're going to do that again. But I think we're going to even up it because now we have experience that we didn't have. Now I know everybody. You know, when I first came in, we came down, Melania and I, a great first lady, who's very popular, by the way. She rang in. She rang in the bell. She rang in the bell. But we came down and we're driving down Pennsylvania Avenue, and it was so beautiful. I said, you know, I've never done this before. I didn't know anybody. I got to the Oval Office, and I'm picking all these big positions, and I didn't really know the people in Washington, but boy, did I get to learn fast. And now we do, and I think we have an incredible staff behind me and others that aren't here. And we're going to do a fantastic job. We're going to create the incentive theory again. In fact, I just announced yesterday, I didn't announce it for this reason, but anybody investing $1 billion or more gets a very expedited approval process because, you know, the approvals, when people come into the country, it takes them, in many cases, 14, 15, 16 years to get the approval. We have Lee is around here someplace. He's in charge of the environment.
I like that they're hitting the I like that they're hitting the Democratic Party's position. Trump's like, if the Democrats don't do it, we'll do it ourselves. We're going to expedite We're going to expedite the approval. We're going to expedite the approval process, but also simultaneously we're going to go crazy. We're going to go crazy mode on the undocumented migrants that are here.
And that's Lee Zeldin, who ran an incredible race for governor in New York, was a very, very successful guy before that. He was a great congressman, and he's a fantastic lawyer. He's in charge of environmental, and we'll try and push him as much as possible to get those permits very quickly. Like a nuclear power plant, I would say a week.
It's crazy how much power and influence the Republican Party holds in this country because they just don't care about preserving the sanctity of institutions or whatever the fuck the Democrats act like they care about. Whatever he says goes, you know? He could just be like, yeah, we're going to expand Medicare, and ultimately he'd be able to utilize the bully pulpit and whip the Republican Party into shape to get it across the finish line, in my opinion. It would be a difficult fight, and it would require some kind of genuine commitment from Donald Trump, which is why it won't happen. Especially when some of his backers would obviously rail against that sort of thing. Look, another 21-month subscriber. I'm doing a week off now.
Would be enough time. What do you think? Is that okay? We're going to get fast approvals, and it's great that we have Lee and all of the people behind. They're all stars. In their own
Off now.
would be enough time. What do you think? Is that okay? We're going to get fast approvals, and it's great that we have Lee and all of the people behind. They're all stars in their own way, but it is an honor, and this is a double because usually they don't coordinate the Man of the Year or the Person of the Year with the ringing of the bell. And brilliantly, you picked them both at the same time, and you were all friends, and you said, "Let's do it." And it takes one trip. It doesn't take two trips. That's okay. We like to save. We like to be able to do it properly. But this is a special group. So many friends in the audience too. John, great job you've done at ABC. I'm really proud of you, and you've been so nice to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't actually acknowledge you at all. But you.
Trump. Here are some of the high notes from or important notes from Trump's Time interview. On a scenario with a war with Iran, he said anything can happen. Anything can happen. It's a very volatile situation. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah. There's a scenario where you would allow Israel to annex the West Bank. I will. What I'm doing and what I'm saying again, I'll say it again. I want a long-lasting peace. I'm not saying that's a very likely scenario, but I want a long-lasting peace, a peace where you don't have an October 7 in another 3 years. And there are numerous ways to do it. You can do it two-state, but there are numerous ways it can be done. And I'd like to see who can be happy. But I'd like to see everybody be happy. Everybody go about their lives and people stop from dying. That includes on many different fronts. I mean, we have some tremendous world problems that we didn't have when I was president. You know, when I left, we had an Iran that was not very threatening. They had no money. They weren't giving money to Hamas. They weren't giving money to Hezbollah. Iran recently plotted to have you assassinated, which, by the way, again, the media is incredible on this issue because foreign policy is uniparty, right? Foreign policy is uniparty, and mainstream media is completely complicit, okay? Foreign policy is uniparty, right? Foreign policy is uniparty, and mainstream media is completely complicit, okay, in this uniparty endeavor. So, of course, when Trump says something crazy like, oh, yeah, I might actually annex the West Bank, who knows? They don't follow up. There is no following up. Okay? Immediately just move on to some more escalatory sentiments about Iran. Iran is trying to get you killed. Will you go to war with them? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. It was a very volatile situation. I think the most dangerous thing right now is what's happening where Zelensky has decided, with the approval of, I assume, the president, to start shooting missiles into Russia. I think that's a major escalation. I think it's a foolish decision, but I would imagine people are waiting until I get in before anything happens. I think that would be very smart to do that. Do you trust Netanyahu? I don't trust anybody. Can I ask, did Elon Musk meet with the Iranians at your behest? I don't know that he met with them. Reportedly, he met with the Iranians. I don't know. He didn't tell me that. Another important aspect of this was the trans conversation. Okay, so let's keyword search trans in here. I think that some women in the America want to know, are you committed to making sure the FDA does not strip their ability to access abortion pills? That would be my commitment. Yeah, that's always been my commitment. Can I shift to the transgender issue? Obviously, sort of a major issue during the campaign. In 2016, you said that transgender people could use whatever bathroom they choose. Do you still feel that way? When was that? In 2016. I don't want to get into the bathroom issue because it's a very small number of people we're talking about, and it's ripped apart our country. So they'll have to settle whatever the law finally agrees on. He hit the Kamala Harris angle on this. The law decides. I'm a very big believer in the Supreme Court, and I'm going to go by their rulings. And so far, I think they're rulings that have that people are going along with. But we're talking about a very small number of people, and we're talking about it, and it gets massive coverage, and it's not a lot of people. But on that note, there's a big fight in Congress right now. The incoming trans member from Delaware, Sarah McBride, says we should all be focused on more important issues. Do you agree? I do agree with that. On that, absolutely. As I was saying, it's a small number of people. It was a big issue, though, on the campaign. I mean, one of the ads your campaign put the most money behind was the Trump is for us and Harris is for they, them. Well, it's true. Trump is for us. Right. It obviously strikes a chord. I mean, Trump is definitely for us, okay? And the U.S. is the vast, vast majority of people in this country. And us is the vast, vast majority of people in this country. And also, I want to have all people treated fairly. You know, forget about the majority or not majority. I want people to be treated well and fairly. On the trans issue, will you reverse Biden's protections for trans kids under Title IX? I'm going to look at it very closely. We're looking at it right now. We're going to look at it. Look, the country's torn apart. We're going to look at everything. So he basically said on the trans issue, he's like, I don't want to get into the bathroom issue. I don't care. It's a tiny percentage of people. Who cares? Who cares? That doesn't mean that like trans people are going to be protected. They certainly will not be. It's just, it is not as significant nor consequential, and Trump understands that. That's the difference. Because if he was a Matt Walsh type, if he just like wanted to literally, if he ideologically was committed to like killing trans people, he would have an answer to that. He would be like, they're dangerous groomer predators. Do you understand? The reason why it's not a priority for him is because he understands that it's the sweatiest fucking losers that care about this shit aggressively. Okay? Now, this doesn't mean that he will go out of his way to defend trans people. That certainly is not the case. He will still be at the whims of people who do care a lot about this shit, right? People who do care quite a bit about this. But it's yet another clear example that the permanent room reader, Donald Trump, has read the room and knows that this is like not a big priority for him. Okay. Yeah, his hyperfixation is on immigration right now. That's what he cares about. The last part of this interview that I want to cover is also the prices will come down part, okay? Because he talks about prices. Donald Trump in his interview with the Times says he's not sure he can get the price of groceries down. It's hard to bring these down once they go up. You know, it's very hard. Prices will come down, Trump told voters during a speech last week, laying out his vision to return to White House. You just watch. They'll come down. Everything will come down fast. Not only with insurance, but everything. You've realigned both political parties. You've changed America. There's got to be something that you understand about winning votes for the American people that your opponents maybe don't give you credit for. It's, I think people want to lead a good life. I think they want to be able to buy groceries at a reasonable price and not have to turn off their heat in order to buy 2 apples. I think that people want security. I don't think people want to have our borders rushed in, invasion, yada, yada, yada. They don't want to see somebody in a weightlifting contest, a woman against a man. Again, a fucking totally made up thing. It makes no sense. They don't want to see, men playing in women's sports. They don't. They don't want to see all of this transgender, which is just taking over. And then when you look at not many years after this person who went through the process saying, who did this to me? As you know, it's a very high percentage. Media also playing a role here. Propping up these narratives, the detransitioner narratives in general. I really think that the people of this country have tremendous hearts. They understand that they want common sense applied in their lives. Most of the things I talk about are common sense. They don't want to see their food price go up by 57% in a short period of time. And I think that's why I won. The Republican Party has become the party of common sense. And it's so many of the things I mentioned and other things too. They don't want us to have they don't want to all have electric cars. They might want an electric car. Electric cars are great, but they're not for everybody. They also want gasoline powered cars or hybrids or anything else that has to come out. They don't want to have a mandate on cars. Okay, where's the other price conversation? Hold on. J6 pardons. I'll be looking at oil prices bringing down, coming very substantially. If the prices of here, this is where he says, now the difference is you've had 3 times as much now. They have essentially they try to get the equal, but they didn't do that. You'd have energy, you'd have inflation that would have been much worse than it is. And it already was possibly the worst the country's ever had. We've had inflation. They've lost on inflation. They lost on immigration. They lost on, as a part of immigration, I think a big part of the border is the border itself. If you can subdivide the word immigration, they lost on the economy, but it was a different kind of it. It was the economy as it pertains to groceries and small things that are actually big things for a family. If the price of groceries don't come down, will your presidency be a failure? I don't think so. Look, they got them up. I'd like to bring them down. It's hard to bring things down once they're up. It's very hard, but I think they will. I think that energy is going to bring them down. I think a better supply chain is going to bring them down. He is hyper reliant on, I think, his relationships that he has with Saudi Arabia and maybe even Russia for OPEC plus, the cartel playing ball with him. If he does like a little pull and push on foreign policy, and then his reliance on big oil, which was so incredibly invested in Donald Trump's reelection, to basically lower the price of oil, that will then lower the price of all goods across the board. That's what he's thinking. There is no assurance or no guarantee that this will happen. And ironically enough, a lot of the things that he has advocated for, a lot of the things that he wants to do, like his signature policies, are inflationary in nature. Tariffs, inflationary in nature. Mass deportations, inflationary in nature. What do you think happens when there's no agricultural output? When you got like 60 to 70% of all agricultural output in this country being produced by undocumented migrants? What do you think happens to the prices of everything? The supply chain is still broken. It's broken. You see it. You go out to the docks and you see all these containers. And I own property in California in Palos Verdes. They're very nice. And I passed the docks. I've been doing it for 20 years. I've never seen anything like it. For 17 years, I saw containers and, they'd come off and they'd be taken away. Big areas, in that area. They have a big ships coming in. Big. The port. Big. Very big. I see this for years as I was out there inspecting property and things. And I look down and I see there are 13, 12, 14 containers. You wouldn't believe they can hold each other. It's like crazy. No, the supply chain is broken. So what has happened to the containers? I don't understand. He's like me. He likes big things. I mean, yeah. Respect to that.
You have been, that really is, it's a terrific job you've done. But again, I want to thank you. We're going down to ring the bell now. And I could just say that the economy, I believe, is going to be very strong. We do have to solve some problems. We have wars going on that we didn't have. We have a lot of things happening that we didn't have that would have never happened. They would have never happened. But now they have happened. And I want to get them solved. We have to get them solved because ultimately the power of weaponry today is the biggest threat we have, in my opinion. It's not some of the other things that you read about. It's the power of weaponry. The weapons are so powerful, so devastating. And I rebuilt our military. I got to know every one of them, including nuclear weapons. I hated to do it. Actually, I hated to do it. But we did some nuclear weapons that are so devastating and almost makes you very sad as you get them and as they come online. It makes you very sad because you know what the purpose of them is, and you just hope to God that you never have to use them. Because if you do, the world will never be the same. So we have to be very, very smart. We have to be very sharp. We have to be very special to do a job. And I think we'll get it done. And I think we're going to get a lot of people in the room. We've seen it. We were in France where President Macron did a fantastic job with the cathedral, an absolutely fantastic job of Notre Dame. And it was beautiful. The opening was the opening, and I just got back, and it was something really beautiful. And a lot of world leaders there. We had about 80 world leaders,
Notre Dame,
and they were all coming together. They all wanted to meet us.
That's the correct way to say it, my man. Lenin.
And meet me as representative of the U.S. And there was a lot of goodwill, but we're going to get some really tremendous goodwill. I was even thinking about inviting certain people to the inauguration, and some people said, wow, that's a little risky, isn't it? And I said, maybe it is. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But we like to take little chances, but that's not a bad chance. Here's a gentleman that's going to do a great job at HUD. Good luck, my friend, right? He's going to be he's been my friend for a long time. It's nice to see you. I haven't shaken his hand yet. Come on. Congratulations. Thanks. Really, you're going to be great. And Ben Carson is your biggest fan in the world. You know that. Ben has been with us for a long time and has done a fantastic job. Thank you. Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, go on. We're going to put it straight. We're going to give tremendous incentive like no other country has. We're cutting your tax.
What do you have to say to the American
we got Jim Cramer in the building.
investor in this country?
Well, I think you're going to.
Yeah, I don't know why he brought up Ben Carson when he saw a black guy. Well, I do know why he brought it up. He's like, black guy, you all know each other. Ben Carson loves you.
See some very good days ahead. A lot of incentives are going to be given. You saw yesterday a $1 billion investment, and we give you very fast approvals. Nobody's come up with that one yet, although it seems pretty simple. I think you're going to have some great days ahead. We have to conclude a couple of bad wars that are going on. A lot of bad things are going on, but we'll get them done.
Do you think that we are in a situation where business will be far more embraced under you than currently?
Well, I don't want to really knock current, but I will tell you more than at any time.
I know Ben Carson was the HUD secretary. I don't think Ben Carson remembers that or knows that.
Time anywhere in the history of our country.
Now, we used to speak together about the idea that the averages mattered and were a good barometer of your performance. Is that still the case? Can we go beyond Dow Jones, maybe to NASDAQ?
Well, I think I've always said, to me, stock market is all of it, all of it together. It's very important. It's an honor to be here at New York Stock Exchange. I sort of joked that I actually bought the building across the street because the stock exchange was here. It's a big deal.
40, it's a nice building.
40 Wall Street. So we're going to do things, I think, that haven't been really done before. We're going to be cutting taxes still further. We got it down to 21%. We're going to bring it down even.
Oh, great. We really need that. That's great. Fantastic. We're going to cut taxes even further, he says. Nice.
Even below that, you pay 21 if you don't build here, and meaning your product or whatever it is you're building. And if
I am a supporter of cutting taxes, even though I'm a Democrat. Why? Do you make millions of dollars a year? Are you a corporation? I own stocks too. Oh my God. Bro, we're never getting anything good. I'm going to be honest with you. We're never getting anything good. Okay. Individual taxes also went down. Standard deduction was doubled. Brother, you are the reason why Republicans get to do whatever they want. Your taxes went down, let's say $1,000. Okay. Your taxes at the end of the year went down $1,000. Do you know how much the taxes of the actually wealthy people went down? Do you understand? Do you know that those tax cuts are slated to sunset this upcoming year? Unless you're in the top marginal tax rate, unless you're at the tippy top, your taxes are supposed to come back up. I understand that, but my life improved. I don't wish ill on other people. Oh my God. No, it didn't. Okay. You saved $1,000 and you thought, oh my God, how fantastic. It's great. Okay. The problem is, in that process, you got literally pennies on the dollar for how much the omega wealthy. It's not $1,000 though, way more. How much money do you make? If you don't mind me asking. Once you combine stocks and income, oh my God. 90% of the stock market is owned by the top 10% of wealth. Oh, okay. You currently make $450 a year. Yeah, no shit, dude. Yeah, of course. Of course you'd be like, of course. Yeah, you're rich as fuck. Of course you would be like, yeah, I want tax cuts. The classic rich guy brain. Never mind. I don't even know. Oh my God. Yeah. Of course your taxes went down, chatter. What the fuck are you talking about? You are not the average person. Your current net worth is $450,000. That means you're in the top. You're not at you're not the 1%, but you're close to it. Also, broke boy, where the fuck is your sub? What do you mean? You have 450K is your net worth, but you're not even fucking peppering the goddamn community with some gifted subs? Pay up. If your yearly income or your net worth overall or your yearly income is $450,000, yes, of course, you're rich as fuck. My job is to try and convince you, as someone who makes a lot more than you do, that it is actually wiser to ensure that we, people like ourselves, okay, and people a lot wealthier than both of us combined, times a million, pay a lot more in taxes. Okay? Because if we pay more in taxes, especially those who have parked all of their assets in the stock market, if we give back more to the government, okay, ultimately, the goal is the government can spend more on social safety nets, on fixing the infrastructure, and ultimately, society will be better overall. I'm afraid that if they increase my taxes, I might never own. Okay. Oh my God. This has got to be bait, man. I can't. I don't understand what you're budgeting on. If you're making $450K a year and you can't purchase a fucking home when the home prices are $2 to $3 million. Like, just get an apartment, dog, I think. I don't know. Is tied up in Hawk Tua coin. Look up costs in Silicon Valley. Bitch, I live in Los Angeles. You think I don't know how fucking inflated the housing market is? That's so funny. Hasan would know, he lives in LA. Exactly. Yeah, no, I trust me, I know. I live in a inflated, a price inflated home. I bought it with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. I know. And as someone who is incredibly fortunate, I hate this kind of nonsense. I hate this, we need to do more fucking tax cuts nonsense. He's missing the point here. All he's arguing is that housing should be better now that tax cuts are good. Yeah. The problem is, here's the contradiction, okay? You have a lot of assets in the stock market. You make $450,000 a year. You feel, understandably, like you're a part of this. And in some ways you are. You are in the top 10% of wealth. So you, of course, have a lot of motion in the stock market. So when the stock market is doing well, your net worth goes up. Okay? The problem is, in order for society, in order for Americans across the board to have a better outcome overall, we need to break this a little bit. The system that has been quite fortuitous for someone like yourself and even someone like myself. I'll give you one example. You're frustrated by the home prices, $2 to $3 million. The homes are $2 to $3 million over here. When in reality, part of the problem, at least in the Bay Area, is that there are a lot of homes that people are just sitting on. And also, I guess the Bay Area is one of the only places where, like, I would say zoning deregulation is a necessity. But the reality of the matter is people are just simply not building houses. There is no mechanism. There's a shit ton of Airbnbs. People are not building houses. There is no mechanism to bring the housing prices down so that someone like yourself and many others can purchase homes, or someone like yourself or many others who work in the companies that you either have a vested interest in and stocks in can actually continue to hire people. It brings everything's, it is very consequential. It's very important. It brings the price of everything up. If home ownership is impossible and rent is unsustainable, then you have to increase the wages as well. But when you increase the wages, so much of that still goes back directly into the pockets of landlords. Our entire system is designed to constantly eke out profit. And because of that, nobody wants to turn around and actually do things that are deflationary in nature. Blow up any of these bubbles, if you will. NIMBY zoning, boomer Airbnb, private equity, simply viewing houses as an asset to begin with. Exactly. This is the issue. And Trump is not going to do that. He's just going to keep cutting taxes further, which is going to contribute to this problem even further. That is the issue here. The contradiction is dumbasses are always fear-mongering about inflation, but when they bitch about taxation, which reduces the money supply, thereby reducing inflation as well, but only see inflation as being a problem when poor people get checks and not when rich-ass people get tax breaks. Exactly. Tax cuts are inflationary. It is the only fiscal policy that is allowed in the American Congress. And it's inflationary. And the only deflationary mechanism can come not from Congress, because God forbid you increase taxes and reduce the money supply that way. The only deflationary mechanism could come in the form of monetary policy. If you're thinking sector by sector, one of the immediate deflationary policies that you can engage with would be to readjust the housing market by making the government compete against the pre-existing inventory of houses by building fucking public housing. Build socialized housing immediately, instantly. God forbid, though, we do that, because that would mean that people who currently own homes, that use their homes as an asset, as their nest egg, as their retirement fund, as an asset to leverage against, those people would hate that, because the house prices would go down, and therefore they'd be sitting on these fucking insanely inflated mortgages at that in that frame, where all of a sudden their collateral has gone away and they're paying these incredibly expensive mortgages for an asset that no longer has that same value. The system has to fundamentally change. We do not treat housing as an asset when it comes down to protecting people's home values. Even though if it was simply seen as an asset, then yeah, sometimes you're going to fucking make a gamble and you're going to lose on that gamble. That's the issue. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a world where you're like, well, I invested in this company and it went under. What the fuck? The government needs to protect this company now. It's ridiculous. That's just not true. Look up how much goes in taxes, how much down payment you needed for a $3 million home, and how much the monthly payment at 6% rates after the 20% down payment, how much you need dependents, and so on and so forth. Wait, what? Oh, you're not responding to me. You're responding to someone else. Yeah. What happened to risk? Everybody wants to have it both ways. Everybody wants to act like housing is shelter when it comes to demanding that the government protect this asset, but everybody also treats it doubly as an asset, as a risky investment. It makes no dang sense. If it's an asset, doors open. If it's an investment, sometimes you're going to lose money on that investment. You know, you took the risk. If it's simply shelter, then you don't care. You're going to sit on it anyway. You have a fucking house. That's it. This man making $450K a year still has not peppered the chat to win over their favor by showering all of you with gifted subs, by the way. I am noticing that gifted subs have not come in from Broke Boy over here. Some of the smooth brain trust fund chatters probably think they'd lose money if their taxes went up to pay for universal health care, even though it'd be cheaper than their insurance costs. Baja blast my brains out. Thank you for the 25. Bill Vach, thank you for the 5 gifted. Anyway.
If you do, we're going to try getting it down to 15%, but you have to build your product, make your product in the USA.
And how about every working person who's watching would love to be able to see dividend tax maybe much lower, capital gains much lower.
Well, we're going to
be... Yeah, let's lower capital gains taxes even much lower. Fuck it, dude. No taxes. Why do we even have taxes to begin with? Fuck it. YOLO. Alamans, thank you for the 5 gifted. The Ether Paradox, thank you for the 5 gifted. To Code Fred, thank you for the 20 gifted. Castle Commander, thank you for the 5 gifted.
We're talking about that, and we're really talking about lowering taxes. Last time, as you know, we took it probably from close to 44, 45% down to 21. Everyone said that was impossible. Now, it was always I really wanted to get it down to 15, and we'll be able to do that. And if you remember, we had the best 3 years in the history of our country from the standpoint of the economy. And you've been so professional and so good. I haven't seen you so much since I've been a politician.
Well, thank you,
Castle
sir.
Commander.
We were together, and I was grateful to be a judge.
5
in The
give the
Apprentice. We had a great
subs.
time.
That's right. You were a judge.
Begging Strip, thank you for the 5. Hitbox, thank you for the 5. Sure Jolly, thank you for the 5.
Well, we had to eliminate some people who didn't cut the mustard. You made me a hatchet, man. I respect that.
Yeah, well, we're going to be doing the same thing, I can tell you. Unfortunately, there's too many of them. But I think we're going to really incentivize the country to go back and work, and they will be incentivized. They're going to do well. People are going to be very happy. JD is very much involved, and I have a great partner right over here with our First Lady. People love our First Lady, and we're going to do something very special. We have some great people up there. You saw some of the people on the cabinet. And we have some of the most successful people in the country, and we're dealing with the most successful people, and those are the people that put others
the
to
Idle
work.
Room,
And we're going to be
Golden
hitting
Locks,
job
Lavender
numbers.
Locks.
And as you probably heard me say,
JX
we picked up since just the election.
Stop giving it a shite. Thank you for the 5 gifted.
You call it worth or value, but $3 trillion was picked up since November 5th, so that's pretty good.
Dude, having combos like that, it just reminds me of how little things will change. Like, it truly, like, how the fuck, brother, you make $450,000 a year and you still want tax cuts? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And you complain that you can't buy a house, not realizing that the reasons why you can't buy a house is partially because of the hyper individualistic nature of Americans who think, well, what the fuck? House prices are going to go down? Are you kidding me? That's like my net worth. That my entire net worth is associated with it. I've taken mortgages out against this. It's my leverage. You're like, oh, no, the stock market might go down. If the stock market goes down, then my net worth goes down. Then I definitely can't buy a house. Okay. Oof. Not recognizing that when there's more readily available funds for people in your fucking price point that are, purchasing these $2 to $3 million houses, if nothing is done about the supply and the demand is automatically increased because of the tax cuts, well, what do you think is going to happen to the fucking housing market then? Yeah, you get tax cuts, you have more take-home pay, okay? Stock market is supercharged. Now you got more money. Now, you know who else has more money? All the other people that are one bracket above you. They have more money, even more money than you. Now they're going to buy their fucking third house. But hey, don't worry. You'll be able to rent it from that guy who's one income bracket above you, Meanwhile, the conversation is so silly because there's hella people. There are the overwhelming majority of Americans, like 97% of Americans are nowhere near that level of wealth. And they're fucking starving and suffering. And some of those motherfuckers voted for this dipshit who's like, yep, we're going to do tax cuts. Oh.
President Reagan was here. He talked about putting the bear into hibernation, letting the bull
Chuck Dice, thank you for the 50 gift.
Sound like a good motto?
Sounds perfect. I can't do any better than that. That's what we're going to do.
All right. Now, I know we've got some other people here, but I don't see Elon Musk. I was hoping because he's been a good, let's say a good aid to you on a lot of different things, whether it be crypto or whether it be GOP-1 drugs. I mean, there's a lot of different ideas.
Well, he's got a lot of ideas. He's a great guy. He's a really good guy, too. And I guess his stock has done pretty well. Everybody's stock has done well since the election and even before. And Scott Bessent's done a fantastic job. And one of the things I liked about Scott is that he said long before I even know who he was that the market's only doing well. This is before the election. It's only doing well because they think Trump is going to win. So we made Scott the Treasury Secretary, which everybody frankly wanted. And he's going to do a fantastic job.
Meantime, how about a crypto? Really, we do need, I think, to some you're embracing crypto, very different from the previous administration. Strategic Petroleum Reserve like for crypto?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to.
The other part of that argument, going back to that one chatter, the other part of that argument is like, listen. If people lose their house value, okay, if the housing market, if the average home price goes down, and a lot of the homeowners lose, okay, a shit ton of the value, but in the process, more people actually have an opportunity to purchase homes, or rent prices go down as well, as a consequence of more readily available inventory. This is overall good for every American. Just like if this is overall good for America in general, when there's more safety and more security for our fellow Americans, they live happier lives. They're more productive laborers. We become more competitive in the global marketplace. Like, this is the problem. It comes from it basically creates stability, and it makes America a better country. But because we're so hyper focused on our own pockets that we just never even close our eyes and dream of a better future for all Americans, and how that might be beneficial for us in the long run. Okay, this Northern
There's some
Line
times where I can like laugh about the state of the world, but then like still once every 2 days, I remember with like a wave of dread that the American government is about to be beholden to the Department of Governmental Efficiency headed by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, which they specifically named Doge after the dog meme. And in my head, I kind of go, ah! After like a minute, I kind of like forget about it and I get over it and I can like live my life again.
Boo, America KKK should be the worst fourth world country. Yeah, dude. My goal is not to change the unequal exchange dynamic that America has enforced upon the global South, but instead to punish the poorest of the labor aristocracy. Okay? This is how we will win. It's not permanent first world genocide. It's actually permanent first world genocide just for the American poor. It's great. Yeah, we must liberate the world by punishing the American working poor, okay? All the while, the American wealthy, that are the most successful parasitic force on the planet, yeah, my people be like, my issue is with the American people, not with its governance. I want to punish the large majorities of the American poor. Fuck the American bourgeois.
To do something great with crypto, because we don't want China or anybody else, and not just China, but others are embracing it, and we want to be the head. We're going to be ahead of AI. We're going to be way ahead of AI, and we've got to produce tremendous amounts of electricity. You know that. It's unbelievable when you think that we need more than twice what we already have. If you think that's pretty for a specific industry, but we'll be able to do.
Bay Area engineer here, not disagree with you on the tax situation, but I don't think the really rich people here are stacking $2 to $3 million homes here. Yeah, it's not actually the really rich people stacking it. It's fucking private equity. And renting it out to people like 450K guys or me, they're buying $10 million plus homes. The bourgeoisie. The labor aristocracy must suffer for its crimes. He's got to be happy that Google is building the nuclear to keep the AI server farms running. Yeah.
Do it. We have Lee Zeldin in charge of the environment. He's going to be giving us very strong approvals, I think, and he's going to make sure everything's good.
How big of a tax cut you getting because of Trump? Be honest, dude. I have no fucking idea. I don't know, and I also don't care.
clean and proper, but he's going to give us very fast approvals.
Natural gas makes it so that we should be able to afford it and be able to handle the 5% per year grid.
Right.
But obviously, you think that we need to be able to be the king of AI, which means that we also have to, some people would say, protect Taiwan, because China would like very much to be able to have that technology.
Well, we're going to be having a lot of talks with China. We have a good relationship with China. I have a surprising relationship. Now, when the COVID came in, I sort of cut it off. That was a step too far. That was, as they say, a bridge too far. But we've been talking and discussing with President Xi some things and other world leaders. And I think we're going to do very well all around. And we've been abused as a country. We've been badly abused from an economic standpoint, I think, and even militarily. You know, we put up all the money, they put up nothing, and then they abuse us. So
Coastal blue state professionals never got a tax cut. Trump raised taxes on 200 to 500K earners and eliminated SALT deduction. That chatters was dumb as fuck. I mean, he seems to think that he earned it. He seems to think that he got more take-home pay.
On the economy, and we just can't let that happen. We're not going to be abused anymore. We put America first, but we're also going to help other countries.
I know you've got a ton of things to do, but what can you say to the working person who owns stocks? Should they buy more stock?
Well, I don't want to get into a situation where they do and we have a dip or something, because that can always happen. You know that better than anybody in the world. Probably.
Yeah, when you advocate for certain stocks and then they crash dramatically. I know you. I know your ways, Kramer. I'm long on inverse Kramer.
I think you're the leading authority in going up and going down, but you always end up. He always ends up. That's the good news. But we have like Doug Burgum standing
Puebla
right over here. Has done a fantastic job. He's been on your show many times, and we have just tremendous people. I would say this. I think long term, this is going to be a country like no other. We had the 3 best years ever until COVID came in, and then we did a good job getting rid of it. The stock market, if you look at the markets, were higher than just previous to COVID coming in when we handed it over. And now we know. I know the people. I know the players. When I came in, it was very interesting, Jim. I came in, and I was not a Washington guy. I didn't know too many people in Washington. I had to rely. Now, who do I know people? I know people. I know people so much, they're coming out of my ears. So we have great people.
Mark Zuckerberg?
In. Well, Mark Zuckerberg's been over to see me, and I can tell you Elon is another, and Jeff Bezos is coming up next week. And I want to get ideas from them. Look, we want them to do well. We want everybody, and we want great jobs, fantastic salaries. We want people to love, and, you know, when they wake up.
It's so wild that like none of this shit actually helps the working poor. None of this shit will actually help the working class, but it won't even fucking matter for the most part, because the scraps that he's offering them is culture war narratives that he will fight and win, specifically because the culture war shit is already made up as a distraction to begin with. Meanwhile, the wealthy will keep robbing you fucking blind. Great stuff overall. And it's not like the Democrats will put a fucking stop to any of that anyway, you know? It's great. Fantastic. The gap between the rich and the poor will grow in ever more concerning ways. We're already at the Gilded Age. Not a single person looks at this and goes, maybe it's not the best idea to have some fucking South African freak have this much power, the wealthiest person on the planet have this much power over the American government. Nope. That guy's got my best interest in mind, baby. He's got my back. I believe it. Bro, you can glaze Trump all you want, but he doesn't know you, little bro. He won't fuck you. The 200 to 500K bracket went from 33 to 35%, and on 450K, you're paying 45K in CA taxes. You no longer got a federal deduction for that, so there's another 15K in taxes. When is enough money enough for these people that they can't spend time helping working class? There's never. That's not a real concept. There's no such thing. It's never enough. In 2018, Jeff Bezos became the first centibillionaire. Now Elon's net worth is 360 billion. It's crazy to think about this. Yeah. Don't worry. All of that will go away when the global market collapses. Okay? Because all those guys and their net worth is entirely tied to the stock market. So when that goes pee-pee poof, you know, Trump is the base MAGA communist, okay? Trump is the base MAGA communist, JD Pon, permanent first world genocide heir, okay? He's going to claw back the stock market from speculators' hands one way or another by collapsing the American economy.